and welcome to Cover 2 Cook. We are on episode 40. We're going to recap the NFL, Sunday, and Monday Night Football, and then also talk about what's upcoming with Thursday Night Football and if there's any good college football games before Saturday. But before I get too far, let me bring on my co-host, Mr. Tim Cook. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. We had some really good noon games on Sunday, and even the Sunday afternoon games. Sunday night was better in the second half, and the Monday night game was Dallas's. Ugh, yikes!
Yeah, we'll talk about that Monday night. I mean, the stadium's falling apart before the game. The whole team's falling apart. But yeah, we'll start out with our first must-watch on Sunday: Ravens versus Steelers. So it was a slugfest right off the start. I mean, just the running attack. Derrick Henry fumbles the ball, which as a person that's on my team, it was like, what the hell's going on? But it just seemed like the Steelers, if they could have just scored touchdowns instead of field goals, this game was out. I mean, when I looked back at the game after watching it, it was like the Ravens were about 2 or 3 plays from being blown out. And you got Russell Wilson throwing an interception in the back. That's 3 more points at least, maybe 7. But Pittsburgh, I know you got a good win. It's a nice win, whatever. I mean, they had a chance at the end. You got to score touchdowns. Because isn't that the whole reason you went away from Justin Fields, was to score touchdowns instead of kicking field goals? As the person that has Boswell on his team for fantasy, I enjoyed it, all of them.
Yeah, I had Boswell as well on my fantasy, so 24 points.
Score touchdowns.
Yes, most definitely.
What did you think about the game?
Yeah, I mean, Boswell 6 field goals. Tucker missed 2 field goals. I think, isn't he hurt? He looked like he was hurt. Yeah. So I don't know if there's something going on with his ankle or his calf or something. Some with his leg where he's planting, and he slid one time, and it's like, ooh, that didn't look good. So you don't see Justin Tucker miss too many field goals. 2 in one game, that's just it doesn't happen very often. You talked about the Henry fumble, and he rebounds with a rushing touchdown. I mean, Wilson threw that pick in the end zone. I thought, uh-oh, they're done. They're done. I mean, that was a bad pick, But then they took him right down the field. Jackson to Flowers, got it to 18-16, and then the Ravens go for 2. What was Jackson throwing to when he was going out of bounds? I don't know. He just kind of threw it up in the air. I'm like, buddy, you got to either go north or south or just go out of bounds. But that throw he threw up there was like, oh, Jesus Christ, And like you said, if they would have scored one touchdown out of them 6 field goals, the game's over. I mean, the game was over. This was a true AFC North. And you know what? I think Pittsburgh might have Lamar Jackson's number.
Yeah, and you're talking about that. No, so he had to throw the ball. Lamar had to. It was the 2-point conversion. So he runs out of bounds.
But he's running out of bounds, and he just flips it up. And I'm like, what the hell was that?
Well, you got to get rid of it. You got to do something, because if you run out of bounds, then it's 0 points anyways.
Yeah,
so you got to do something. I mean, the problem with that is stop putting yourself in a corner. Stop, don't put yourself, because that's a defender's dream right there. You in the sideline, all I got to do is keeping you getting towards the sideline, and then you got to do something stupid, which eventually that's what he did. But stop. And he does that so much where he gets so close to the sideline. It's like some plays can work out for you, some can't. It's just, but you got to say that. You got to say Steelers have his number, because he can't get over them in the regular season. No. But we'll talk about another game later on where it seems like they got their number. But when it comes to playoff time, either the Steelers are not there or the Ravens are okay by getting past them. And so I think this Ravens team's different, but Russell Wilson took a step back this past week.
Yeah.
Everyone was riding that horse or riding that train. Everyone was like, okay, he's doing well. But after watching this week, you got to put points on the field or points on the scoreboard, not just field goals.
Yeah, because you ain't going to win very many playoff games kicking 6 field goals. I'm sorry, you're just not. The teams are just too much. They're just much better than that. You've got to put the ball in the end zone. I mean, Wilson had 205 yards passing, interception, but even the running attack for both teams. Henry only had 67 yards rushing, 65 yards, and Harris only had 63. I mean, they both played great defense, and they just bottled up that running deal. It was, like I said, it was a true AFC North game. I mean, this was an old-style 1985 game where it was just the defenses both played well, and the offenses just didn't do anything.
Yeah, but this is what both teams have built themselves on, is that defense,
Yeah.
right?
Well, especially Pittsburgh's.
Yeah, they're going to live and die by the defense. But one thing I have to bring up in this game was at the end, Justin Fields comes into the game. All right, second down. All you got to get is a first down. And the stupid idiot slides, and it's where you start to slide. He gets a first down. No, you dumbass. Get the yards. They're lucky they get the next play. It was just one of these things where it's like, you wonder why you got pulled out. Like, come on.
Yeah.
And look, I get it. Protect the ball, so don't get tackled, right? Slide. But, I mean, can't you just, like, I don't know. It's just like, know where you're at on the field. It was a bad I kind of rooted for that moment for them to not get the next down and to like hold them, because I was like, I hope they come back on that just so that you could hear Pittsburgh go off on Justin Fields. But that's the element you brought in with Justin Fields, is where you're able to run that ball out of the backfield. They got the yards. They win this game. But it was good. It was a good kickoff to our noon, but this game took forever.
Yeah, it did. This was like a 4-hour game, it seemed like.
Yeah, this was later noon games.
Right. And also too, here's another deal too, is the Steelers were 1 for 11 on third down. That's got to get cleaned up, especially if you make the playoffs. Which right now they're in the driver's seat with that AFC North. I mean, they've got one victory against them. I think that's what, the third or fourth loss for the Ravens. So I mean, now they're in the driver's seat. They're up to, 2 games up on, or Pittsburgh's up on 2 games. Plus they have the 1 game advantage. Now you're up 3 games. You only got 7 to go. So,
Yeah, but they got a division. It's all division games from now on, pretty much.
Right.
That was their first division game, which was crazy. Game, but first conference game, like, that was crazy to hear about. But
you look at the Bears. The Bears, this Sunday was their first conference game. So
yeah, but now they got to win. I mean, that's the thing. Like, you're gonna mention in Baltimore. You're gonna have to do Denver twice, which Denver's playing some good ball as well.
Yeah.
Cleveland. Because Denver's in with them, right? No.
Denver plays in a different division. Cleveland, you've got Baltimore, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati.
Which Cincinnati,
they might be done. So,
well, that takes us to our second must-watch game, which around in the Midwest was a big game. Packers versus Bears. What do you think about this game?
Yeah, Packers started right off. First possession went right down the field to Reed, 7-0. Santos kicked a field goal, made it 7-3. But at the post game, the Packers noticed something against Santos that may have been the key at the end of the game. They noticed that he was kicking the ball low when that first field goal went in, so they knew that they had a chance to block that at the end. But that's they finally got Cole Kmet going. I tell you, Williams looked a lot better. He was getting the ball out a little faster. I think they had a great game plan for him. I mean, he was getting the ball out in 2 to 3 seconds. He was even rushing the ball. He had 70 yards rushing. That's his strength, is getting the ball out quick, making quick decisions. If he has to run out of the pocket, he can run out of the pocket. I think that the Bears made that big stand on the 4th down in the 4th quarter, and then, there's a lot of controversy on whether that Jalen Reed catch down the middle was a catch. It looked like to me that was a catch, but there's a lot of Bears fans down there saying, I don't. I think that was a catch, And then, they scored the touchdown. The Packers scored, got it 2019. They missed a 2-point conversion, so that's still made. And then they got the ball, and they went down the field. I mean, he was making some back shoulder throws to Odunze. It was like, that's who you drafted. That's the guy you got. So, I mean, he got him down the field. Now, a lot of people are saying as well, why didn't they run the ball and get him closer?
They did.
Okay, so now you take that chance of fumbling the ball.
But
do you want to take that chance?
But 1 second. They did run the ball. See, this is what I don't understand. They ran the ball and got what? 1 yard, 2 yards?
Yeah, right.
Yes, you could run one more play. But 1 to 2 more yards? I just don't understand why you didn't throw it. Like, I mean, I understand you're in field goal range, but you were throwing it down the field throughout this whole process. A 5-yard slant, a 5-yard out. One of these ones. And if it ain't there, throw it away. But just say, we have one more play. Let's run it. It doesn't. You weren't going to get 10 more yards. You were not going. So
Well, and that too, didn't they still have a timeout in their back pocket, or I think they burned it. So
well,
I mean,
the field goal.
yes,
Yeah.
but they still got a timeout to burn. I mean, it's so. I think that Eberflus tries not to. He plays trying not to lose, and he's just not a game planner. He is not. You've got to be better at the end.
Well, and what I'll say about this game is, like, definitely throughout the whole game, it seemed like the Bears just had the momentum, right? Playing in Chicago, obviously. But Jordan Love didn't look as great. I didn't think he looked that great. Like, I just think there was plays where he missed wide receivers or there was just short balls. And it was just one of these ones where you were giving the Bears every chance to stay in this game.
Yeah.
You did by going for it on 4th down in your red zone. Didn't get that one. And then you come back and do score a touchdown later. Don't get the 2-point conversion. Josh Jacobs was not used as essential as I thought he was going to be used in this game. But then you're talking about this last field goal. And I watched it on Pat McAfee. I saw it on First Take. I saw it on all these ones. That is a penalty. That is a penalty.
Right.
Right up where it is. You cannot be over the center. You cannot have someone behind you pushing you to get leverage. If you watch that end of that play, every Bears person goes straight down to the ground. Now, the difference between Kansas City did a week before against Denver was they attacked a guard or tackle.
They came from the outside.
Yes, they attacked right in the middle, and there was a guy behind him pushing, which then got him leverage to put his hand up. It's illegal. They've got rid of that rule. But the problem is it's the last second field goal. So the refs are watching so much, they're making sure they didn't call it. If you're a Bears fan, it doesn't matter. You guys let them stay in this game in the second half. You had momentum. You should have took it. Your defense needed to stop them on that final drive by Green Bay, and they didn't do it. You've lived and died by your defense, and your defense is what actually hurt you in that last drive. You got to get a stop. Get a stop. So I don't feel bad for Bears fans. I think
and that kick was low. I mean, he is known for low kicking. He's not a kicker that can get. But what if he would have got another 5 or 10 more yards? Now he can launch the football a little bit better.
I don't think it matters, and here's why. Because the angle wasn't going to matter whether he was at the 4-yard line. He's kicking it so low to the ground. But what I'm saying is when those linemen are 2 yards in the backfield.
Yeah, that's tough.
It doesn't matter. It was and it wasn't just like a fingertip that got it. It was a complete hand that got it. And that's why they got rid of that rule. And so I'm not defending the Bears. I think what I'm just trying to say is like, you could have, don't blame it on a field goal kick at the end of the game. You had 55 other minutes in this game or whatever to win this. You did. That drive by Green Bay at the end was what I'm saying is stop them. Stop. Love was not playing great. It's in Chicago. You got the crowd in it. And you can stop them. The one positive I could say by walking away from this, I think you have your future quarterback. But you know what the problem with that is, Chicago? I saw Trubisky do games like that.
Right.
You know what? I saw Justin Fields have games like that. Are you going to build off the momentum? Are you going to keep doing what you need to do here? Because you're probably still getting rid of the coach at the end of the year. Yeah.
Well, and they're going to get tape on what the other teams got tape of what happened Sunday. So, that's going to work for a little bit, but you're still got to start changing it up. We all think and we all know Eberflus has got to be gone after at the end of the year. The McCaskies are not people that like to fire people in-house, not like the Jets, which they lost their GM today. So,
well, and I think the Bears, it's like one of these ones where I laughed out loud when it got blocked.
I did too. I'm like, because I'm a Denver fan, and it happened to me the previous week. I'm like, I'm not shocked.
Well, no, and I guess I just laughed out loud because it was like they haven't beat them in how many years?
Yeah,
all this shit. And you got your chance, and then just when you think it is, they just a kick in the nuts if you're a Bears fan. But I think the problem is this is just one game. Yeah. Now, let's keep seeing it. I mean, it's just. But
well, they got Minnesota this week, so.
Wow.
And that defense is good.
That's for real defense. That takes us to an afternoon game of a AFC showdown: Chiefs versus Bills. Chiefs will keep it rolling in the first half. But the problem with this game is So it was very chippy, straight off the. I mean, this felt like a playoff game. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes in that first drive, or I think it was the first or second drive, throws a pick, and you're like, you don't see that in this situation. Josh Allen keeps a hold of the ball for most of this game, but it was one of these games where I just was like waiting for the big play, right? Like just waiting for, and I don't want to say that the Bills have the Chiefs number because you can't say that when a playoff time comes.
No.
But Josh Allen in that last drive was like, I'm not letting this end without me having a say in it.
Yeah.
And that right there is why we will have so many games between the Chiefs and the Bills that we will remember, is because usually in the playoffs, it's Patrick Mahomes saying that and finishing the game and winning the game.
Right.
So many times in the regular season, Josh Allen has done that. I just thought this game was very back and forth, but then like it felt very boring in the first half, but second half started getting a little bit more interesting. But yeah, definitely a great AFC showdown. What did you think about this game?
Yeah, I mean, I thought that early on, I think the defense was controlling Mahomes at the beginning, you know, in the first half. And then, I mean, Mahomes was still making good plays. I mean, he threw to Gray for a couple touchdowns, you know. And then, you know, Bills made it 23-14. That big PI called with 8 minutes to go, got him down the field, got him. And then you just knew 4th and 2, you know. Bills go for it on 4th down. And like you said, Allen said, you know what? I'm putting the team on my back. I'm going to go for it. I'm going for it. We've got to, because if we give Mahomes the ball back with this amount of time, I think it was probably, 4 minutes left, 3 minutes left. If we give him that ball back with that much time, we're going to lose. We are going to lose. And I'm not going to let him, we're not going to lose. And that run that he made into the end zone that took the lead, that was all on him, man. That was all on him. He was like, we're going to lose, you know, win or lose, it's going to be me. And that was an awesome run. I mean, he just trucked them people going in the end zone. So, you know, and then Mahomes' interception at the end sealed it. I mean, you knew that this was coming. It wasn't a matter of if, but when. Because the Chiefs have been doing this all year long, where they've just been getting by. And this week they didn't. They just didn't. Kelsey was not a factor. The running attack wasn't a factor. That Bills defense really stepped up. And Mahomes was getting bottled up. He was getting throws down the field, but not in like he normally gets. So, I mean, let's see. I mean, that's a big victory because now they're only a game back from the Bills. You get another loss for the Chiefs. Now you're tied, and the Bills have the tiebreaker. They could get the number 1 seed. So, you know, this was a big victory. They had to have it because if they would have lost this one, now you're down 2 games, 3 games because you've already beat them already. So,
yeah, I feel like in this game, right off the bat, when they threw that one-on-one ball with Amari Cooper, which didn't know if he was going to play or not, he plays.
Right.
Once they threw that one-on-one ball and he caught it, I just feel like it changed how Kansas City was like, this is how we're going to play defense now. Because once they left him one-on-one, the next drive, Josh Allen did it again, threw it down there. They didn't get a completion that time, but then now you can't focus on Curtis Samuel or Shakir or Dawson. So it just spread everything open, and that's what Amari Cooper is going to do for Dallas or for Buffalo. Is it's going to allow for people to have to respect him to open up the other wide receivers on Buffalo. And I just felt like that's how it was. I also didn't feel like Jones was as much of a factor.
No.
There's a couple of plays where he could have made a play and he fell. There was one where he rolled on the ground and I thought was hilarious. But like, it's just one of these games where like I saw Buffalo fans being like, "We did it." It's like, but then it comes to playoff time and you guys can't win.
Yeah, you shit the bed.
And don't get me wrong, you guys got 2 losses, and now Kansas City's got 1 loss. You're still competing. But you're not winning out, Buffalo. You're just not. Like, you're going to lose another.
You're going to have a hiccup there, here or there.
And you're going to have another stupid game. My only thing about it is if you're Kansas City and you walk away from this game, what did you not do? And you weren't your identity by running the ball. Kareem Hunt, 14 carries. That ain't it. That ain't it.
No.
That's not your team. I mean, as a person that had Kareem Hunt playing in fantasy, but still,
right.
like, that's not your identity. You guys were doing too much. Xavier Worthy finally gets a little bit into this game, but kind of like he's so fragile. I think the wind knocks him over half the time, not even people.
Right. Right. Well, and they never got Kelsey going either. Yeah. Kelsey didn't have a great game neither. I mean, Gray had 2 touchdowns, but that was because he was. I mean, he didn't have nobody. No, I mean, and I think that Bills defense, they were pumped, ready to go. That defense was swarming Mahomes. I mean, I thought it was, they had a great game plan. That defense did, which McDermott is a defensive-minded coach, so he should have it.
Yeah. Well, in the rest of the NFL, the Lions at noon beat the Jaguars 52-6. The Vikings beat the Titans 23-13. The Dolphins beat the Raiders 34-19. The Rams beat the Patriots 28-22. The Saints win 35-14 against the Cleveland Browns. The Colts win by 28-27 against the Jets. The Broncos beat up on the Falcons 38-6. The Seahawks won 20-17 against the 49ers. And then the Chargers beat the Bengals on Sunday night. And then last night, the Texans beat the Cowboys 34-10. What do you think about this weekend?
You know what? Some Lions. I mean, that's another 50 burger on another team again. I mean, they've had two 50-point games plus a 45 against the Cowboys. I mean, that offense is clicking. I mean, that two-headed monster of Gibbs and Montgomery and Goff, 412 passing yards. That's just, and 4 touchdowns. Goff was just spraying the ball around the field. It's just wow. Richardson, game-winning. Is Anthony Richardson back? Is he back? I mean, maybe that sit-down did good. Jets defense is not very good, but he put a hell of a game-winning drive for the win. And now the Jets, they have an interim coach. Today they got rid of their GM, Joe Douglas. So they'll be looking for both people at the end of the season, which I just found out too, that his contract was due up at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So I'm like, maybe Woody Johnson just wanted to get rid of him just to be done with him. We had Winston throwing for 395 against his old team and 2 touchdowns. Judy had 142 yards. Taysom Hill, 138 yards, of all-purpose yards, and Valerie Scannon had 87 yards, 2 catches. Hey, Saints, 2-0. Under that interim coach that likes blowing up toilets pre-game. So, you got Nakua and Cup. Dynamic duo. They got 229 yards receiving combined in the win against New England. And not least, the best, but not least, Bo Nix. Hey, 4 touchdowns, 307 yards passing, as Denver takes Atlanta to the woodshed. I mean, they took them. And you know what? And they also swept the NFC South and beat each team by double digits.
Yeah. I definitely think, looking at these games, Bo Nix, and he reminds me of, I think Sean Payton's got his Drew Brees.
Yeah, I do too.
Drew Brees in the way that he plays. Can get out there and do it. He's a tough, rigid player. He's going to take on tackles. He's going to do stuff like that. So I definitely think that the Falcons just didn't look good at all.
No, and there's rumblings going on right now that Penix might be starting soon.
Yeah. Colts versus Jets. I definitely agree. Anthony Richardson. I don't know if the sitting was good for him. I think it was just one of these things where he needed a game to get back into the momentum, and Jets defense was a perfect one. When I look back at the Dolphins, even in this week, Vikings win.
Yeah.
There's nothing really surprising I felt like happened this weekend. Maybe the Seahawks versus 49ers. You thought with Christian McCaffrey coming back, he wouldn't, but they brought DK back, and the Seahawks are back kind of their top.
Well, and even, you know what, Geno Smith, I'll tell you what, he had 2 hell of drives that, especially that last one for the touchdown, that the 2 key runs at the end. That was, I mean, he was kind of like little Josh Allen there. I'm putting the team on my back, and I'm going to. But the big key too was Nick Bosa being out, because with Nick Bosa being out, that's the only time they scored the 2 touchdowns when he went out of the game. Nick Bosa was on Geno Smith the whole game until he went out of the game.
Well, and I definitely agree. And then like Sunday night, Chargers looked like they were going to run away with it, and then Bengals come back, and then it comes down to even the last drive and stuff like that. Last night, Joe Mixon kind of handled it. But What do we got coming up this Thursday? Thursday night we have, if my thing will load, I think it's Steelers versus Browns. This will be an interesting game at the effect of short week for for Russell Wilson. So we'll have to see how this kind of game goes because I'm not really worried about Browns beating them. It is in at the Browns, so that may help them a little bit.
Yep.
As the Steelers
but that's another deal too. Is now the Steelers are playing back to back within 4 days of conference or not conference division games. You know, you had that big battle against Baltimore. Now you got to go to Cleveland. Can Russell make it? Can he make back to back games of playing good?
Yeah. So how'd you do betting this weekend?
People should start listening to me a little bit. 3 weeks in a row, 3-0. Woo! I had the Dolphins given a 7.5, laying 7.5. They won by I think 18. I had the 49ers, or I had Seattle getting a 6.5. They won outright. And then last night, that was kind of a cakewalk. I knew they were going to blow them out. Dallas is not very good right now. And they won 34-10. I was given the 7.5 to the Texans. 3-0 this week, 9-0 the past 3 weeks. So, maybe people could jump on the bandwagon with this little deal here.
Yeah, definitely a solid 3 weeks for you there. I ended up 2-1.
Nice.
I handled with the only one that got me was the Cleveland versus Saints. I thought Cleveland would play better. I mean, I know I'm on the Jameis Winston roller coaster, but that was like the defense was more the problem in this game than it was Jameson. So that one got me, but I had Steelers -3. So obviously with them or +3 with
+3. Yeah, you won that one.
And then the other one was the over of the Bengals and Chargers. I knew the defenses they were eventually going to break. And the problem with the Chargers defense is it's the pass. If it's a running team like against
I agree.
Like that, I definitely think they'll stop teams like that. But when it's passing, they can't slow down the pass for them. And Joe Burrow is still having a great year. I know that this is not a season, but
his defense is letting them down now. I mean, they just can't stop anybody. But he can still sling it. I mean, he had Chase, T. Higgins. And even throwing Chase Brown out of the backfield. They made a hell of a comeback and they tied it. I mean, they were right there at the end.
Yeah.
And I like how Harbaugh didn't go up for the layup and kick the field goal. You know what? I'm gonna beat you. And then he got the lead with the 7-point lead. He threw 5 men at Burrow at the end, and they couldn't do anything. I mean, he plays football like it's supposed to be played. I don't know how much analytics he uses, but I think he'll have that team going next year. He gets his players there. I think they'll be tough. And the only bad deal is the AFC West. You got to go through Mahomes, and that's going to be hard.
Yeah, I think Harbaugh's more like high risk, high reward kind of coach, which is great when you got the talent to do it.
Right.
But if you don't have it, you're not a good coach. And
No.
we saw it even with him at Michigan when he had that high risk, high reward. Man, it worked out for his favor, but otherwise it didn't. So we'll see. I still don't believe in the Chargers yet. I just for some reason I don't see where they're going to make it to the playoffs, but like how far they make it.
Right. First year. I mean, even right now, I think Denver might be a 7. No, I don't think they're a 7 seed. I think they might be maybe. But I mean, they'll have to play Buffalo right now. As if the playoffs started tomorrow, they'd have to play Buffalo at Buffalo. That'd be fucking tough.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and this tonight, because since we're recording on Tuesday, is the college football playoff show to talk about who's going to go in there. Obviously before it happens, I think one of the things Tennessee, I think, slips out now that Georgia's in there. People are talking about like all the conference because now people are like, well, Indiana hasn't played anyone. They'll be playing Ohio State this weekend, so they're going to play someone. But we will be back on Saturday to do the college football. We'll do our must-watch games with our betting. And then also, before we get into all that, we'll talk about how the college playoffs shakes out and where we're thinking with that game. But we want to thank everyone so much for listening. I hope you guys have a great week, and we'll talk to you guys on Saturday.